Hello friends, today we are going to discuss complications and treatment of atrial fibrillation. Now, coming to complications of atrial fibrillation first. Number 1, thromboembolism. As we have already discussed that in a patient with atrial fibrillation, there is ineffective atrial contraction due to which there is stasis of blood in the atrium, which leads to clot formation, especially in the left atrial appendage. There can be thromboembolism of this clot which may result in stroke. Second, heart failure. So, in a patient with atrial fibrillation, along with ineffective atrial contraction, there is also fast ventricular rate, irregular ventricular rhythm, due to which there is backing up of blood in the pulmonary veins, which results in heart failure and pulmonary edema. Number 3, tachycardia induced cardiomyopathy. Now we will go through the treatment of atrial fibrillation. It can be divided into 3 headings. Number 1, rate control. Number 2, rhythm control. Number 3, stroke prevention. Now coming to rate control first. So the goal of rate control in a patient with atrial fibrillation is to reduce heart rate below 110 beats per minute without restoring the sinus rhythm. So the atria may still fibrillate, but patient feels better and there is improvement in cardiac output. So what are the indications of rate control? Number 1, elderly patients. Number 2, in patients with long-standing persistent AF or permanent AF. Number 3, in a patient with structural heart disease. For example, when there is an enlarged left atrium, so cardioversion may lead to recurrence. Then when patient has minimal symptoms or patient is asymptomatic. Then when there is stable hemodynamic. And last, when patient has contraindication to anti-arrhythmic drugs. For example, if a patient already has thyroid dysfunction or hepatic dysfunction, when he is to be started on amiodarone, then we have to consider rate control in such patients. Drugs that can be used for rate control, they may include first beta blockers, mainly metoprolol, bisoprolol. Second, non-dihydropyridine calcium channel blocker, mainly verapamil and diltiazem. Third, digoxin. Now coming to rhythm control. In rhythm control, the goal is to restore and maintain the normal sinus rhythm. It can be done via electrical cardioversion, pharmacological cardioversion, or via ablation. Now we will go through the indications of rhythm control. Number 1, when a patient presents with new onset atrial fibrillation which is less than 48 hours since onset. Number 2, onset of AF in a young patient who is healthy. Number 3, when a patient who has severe symptoms, severe symptomatic patients. Number 4, when AF is due to secondary cause, for example thyrotoxicosis. Number 5, when AF is associated with heart failure. Number 6, when patient has tachycardia induced cardiomyopathy, as improvement in rhythm may improve left ventricular functions in such patients. Now, coming to the importance of duration since onset of AF. Why is it important to know the duration of AF? So, if a patient presents within 48 hours since onset, then we may go for cardioversion immediately. It may be electrical cardioversion or pharmacological cardioversion without considering the need of anticoagulation. Whereas if the patient presents after 48 hours since onset of AF, then we have to give anticoagulation for at least 3 weeks. After that, we have to perform transesophageal echocardiography in order to rule out left atrial thrombus. Then we have to cardiovert the patient. And after that, we have to give anticoagulant for at least 3 weeks more. Pharmacological cardioversion. So, pharmacological cardioversion is preferred when patient is hemodynamically stable and when patient has minimal symptoms. Drugs that may be used, it may include number 1, amiodarone, especially if structural heart disease is present. If structural heart disease is absent, then we may go for propafenone or flecainide. Now, coming to electrical cardioversion. Electrical cardioversion is preferred when number 1, patient is hemodynamically unstable. Number 2, patient has severe symptoms. Number 3, patient has angina or heart failure. Then when patient has not responded well to pharmacological therapy, when pharmacological therapy has failed. And last, when patient has AF along with pre-excitation, that is WPW syndrome. Now, coming to certain important things to remember while giving electrical cardioversion to a patient. Number 1, what kind of energy do we have to use? So, in a monophasic defibrillator, we have to give 200 joules, whereas in a biphasic defibrillator, we have to consider 100 joules. Number 2, we have to give synchronized cardioversion. It should be synchronized with R wave, because if we synchronize it with T wave, then it may precipitate ventricular tachycardia. Number 3, what preparation do we have to make? So the most important is we have to figure out the duration. So we have to perform transesophageal echocardiography, especially if AF is more than 48 hours since onset, to rule out left atrial thrombus. And we have to correct electrolyte imbalance, that is hypomagnesemia and hypokalemia, which can cause atrial fibrillation. And once electrical cardioversion is done, then we have to give anticoagulation for at least 4 weeks to prevent relapse of atrial fibrillation. Now we have to consider ablation therapy. So ablation therapy is considered in patients who have resistant AF or recurrent AF. Now coming to the role of stroke prevention. As we have already discussed that a patient with atrial fibrillation has 5 times more chances of developing stroke. So there is a score which is used. It is called as CHAD-VASS score, where C stands for congestive heart failure, 0.1, H stands for hypertension, which is given 0.1. A stands for age more than 75, which is given score 2. Then D for diabetes mellitus, which is given 0.1. V for vascular disease, which is given 0.1. A for age between 65 to 74, which is given 0.1. S for sex, if patient happens to be female, then it is given 1 point. And then stroke or TIA, it is given 2 point. Now, if the score is 0, then no anticoagulation is required. But if the score is 1 or more than that, then we have to give anticoagulant in such patient. Direct oral anticoagulant are preferred, mainly apixaban, rivaroxaban or dabigatran. But in certain cases in which they are contraindicated, for example, patient with mechanical valve or rheumatic heart disease, mitral stenosis, where warfarin is to be given. And in such cases, we have to maintain INR between 2 to 3. Anticoagulation should be given lifelong in such patients. Thank you.